I'ma self-destruct. When it comes to the best, it ain't hard to choose. For your sport shows, updates, and interviews. The only way is the right way, I might say. Nobody doing it better, y'all some lightweights. Malik Wright, up all day and all night. Pushing all the buttons up to something till it's alright. He looking at it from all sides and angles. Got a stripes on his body like he played for the Bengals. Oh man, there's no one discussing it. They came, they stayed, they either did it or done it. Man, I love it, cause all they ever do is win. So kick back, relax, the TWSN.
Shout out Young Swish. Thank you guys for tuning in to the return episode of State of the Jungle, presented by TWSN, the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host, as always, Evan McPhillips, Daniel Alameda, Logan Fulmer, Jimmy on the ones and twos, Marissa in the studio too.
Wow.
It's been a while. I just want to do something really quickly, guys. Does this thing still work? Is this thing still on? It's been a while. It's been a while, you know. I would say contrary to some people's belief, we're not dead. We're alive. We're well. Me and the boys, we decided we were going to take a little time away, right? Take a little time away. It was the first time away since I moved out here in Cincinnati, where we all got a chance to sort of recalibrate, get our thoughts, get our minds right. And honestly speaking, any time you guys see us show up on your screen, we never want you guys to think that, oh, here they are again fulfilling a quota. Here they are again just going live because they've got nothing else better to do. Any single time we jump on this show, we want it to be meaningful. Anytime you guys see this mic in front of my hand, we want it to be impactful. So that is why we are back to you guys right before the Bengals take on the Philadelphia Eagles in a preseason matchup. Now, we know this offseason has been pretty much crazy, right? Contract disputes, interviews, the whole 9 yards taking place. I want to go around the panel first. Evan, how we doing?
Doing good, man. It's been a nice summer, like you said. Been having some life developments. Bought a house.
Bought a house.
Thank you.
Shout outs.
And have been enjoying the wonderful adventure of home ownership already. Made a lot of effort painting and getting things nice, and then dog locked herself in the bathroom, took a giant chunk out of the drywall, eating that and trying to get out. So
love that.
Yeah, got to repair exactly what we'd already been working on. So it's already been a nice snapshot of the ride. So that's a lot of what I've been doing over the summer. So, but overall, been good, man. It's been a nice break, but I'm definitely itching to get back to talking Bengals with you guys.
Man, it feels like, the first day of school, you see your friends again, right? And we genuinely have not seen each other since yesterday. Logan, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm consuming a lot of football, as you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of football every day. Back to work today, actually.
Wow.
School starts next week, so that's speaking of back to feeling like we're going back to school. I am, so that's
you actually are.
You
actually are. Okay.
It's here. I've just been consuming a lot of football, getting ready for our season, getting ready for the Bengals season. Just Bengals preseason game Thursday, our first preseason game on Friday. It's all here, and it's all came out of nowhere, but couldn't be more excited for it.
Rooting huge for Scott football this year. Rooting huge for Scott football.
Yes,
congrats on that. Daniel,
Yeah.
Mr. California.
I know.
You were here for a little bit, and you went back. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I think Evan put it in best. It does, or you put it best. It does feel like first day of school, kind of back talking football. And I think that's kind of the thing, and one of the themes for this year is, hey, everything has a purpose. And anytime we get to talk football, I think I missed it this entire offseason, is you miss feeling the grind of football. You miss feeling like football is literally tomorrow, and it is. So I don't know. I think it's just such a good feeling having football, and it's fun conversation. As we always say, sports is a place that we can come together, and I'm excited. At least before the season, we can come together before everything gets all crazy, with the whole sports calendar. So I'm excited for this.
100%, man. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I know this is boring. But if this is your first time visiting the channel, make sure you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live and we upload content. We got our favorite people in the comment section already commenting. Somebody said, Logan, it looks like you lost 20 pounds of hair.
I did.
Somebody
Did
said, Malik,
indeed.
it looks like you actually lost 20 pounds. Well, I appreciate that. It did, and then some. But, I honestly, we're just happy to all be back. We're happy to be talking football with you guys again. Letting you guys know, we're actually going live from a couple different channels now. We're going live from, obviously, the YouTube channel. We're going live from a Twitch. We have a Twitch. Yes, I've been coerced into getting a Twitch. So Malik Wright Sit Down is now the Twitch. And on top of that, we're back on Twitter. We initially started on Twitter. Now we're back on Twitter going live, giving people the show. But I want to jump right into this, though. It's been a lot, guys. It's been a lot going on. The first thing I kind of want to start off with is obviously training camp has been running rampant. I want to get everyone's winners so far and losers so far of training camp, if that's such a thing. I don't even know if we can clearly call it that just yet without actually seeing them live and in action, right? But who are you guys' biggest winners so far? Logan, you're the coach. Let's start with you.
I think for me, I know it sounds kind of, I guess, easy way to out, but the depth on the offense just feels more there than it has in years past. And, when a team relies so heavily on offensive firepower, it's been scary the last few years when, if Jamar got banged up or T got banged up, that like, what would the offense kind of look like? Like, would we be able to sustain the high scoring, high efficiency offense that we are? And it's starting to seem like, Yoshi's coming along. Burton's having a great offseason. Isaiah Williams is making a ton of plays. Taj Brooks in the backfield. Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant now. It just seems like we're kind of adding so many different layers and elements to the offense to where it kind of feels sustainable in whatever direction we kind of want to move. And that's something the offense hasn't felt like it's had before. Again, the offense should always be good, but it feels like they are more equipped now to kind of play whatever style of football they almost want, which I think goes a long way because you're going to have to change how you play sometimes. You're going to have to adapt. And I feel like the personnel and the depth they have is starting to kind of allow them to do that instead of just playing the way they need to play, drop back a ton, throw the ball a ton. And they still will do that, but it just this grouping, this personnel as a whole feels more equipped to handle any situation thrown at them, which I think is a massive advantage.
Yeah, I think there's a couple winners. I can give two names and then I'll kind of go overarching. But I think the first name is Jermaine Burton. I think just from the fact that this was the guy who was getting ridiculed and everybody was tough on. We were tough on it at the end of the season. And just to go from a place where you were at the lowest of the lows, we're talking personal life lows to where it seems like he's happier. It seems like he's in better standing. Obviously it's training camp. I understand everybody's going to have their clips, but he's showing up and it looks positive. And for me, heading into our break in the offseason, there was even talks where I was like, man, is this guy going to be on the roster by the end of this upcoming season? So from the beginning of training camp to where it is now, I definitely say Jermaine Burton. And then one more I'd give is Josh Newton. I think Fig Newton is a guy where obviously he's getting a lot of social media love, but the two things that stood out was, in one of the interviews Malik did with Orlando Brown, he talked about Josh Newton. And he said if there was one guy he'd shout out, it was him. And it wasn't because of his play style. It was because he's like, that guy gave one of the best speeches I've heard. So when you hear that from a player and then you see the stuff on social media, right? People praising this dude. And even what came out about Newton being the guy that's having Joe Burrow watch the film with the guys, that just shows a level of leadership and a level of commitment for a guy that's in his second year at the NFL. So those are two things that personally, they surprised me when I was looking at the training camp stuff. And those are two things that I'm going to be paying attention to and say, hey, I think those guys are going to be ready when their name gets called upon. And that's what I'm looking for now, because those are the guys in week 17, week 18, when somebody goes down, that's going to make or break your team. And I think that's where the Bengals struggled last season. I think that's where they need to improve this season. So, Evan, those are two of the guys I thought kind of stood out.
Yeah. Want to give my shout out to Demetrius Knight. Obviously, one of the benefits to drafting a guy who was a little bit older, a little longer in the tooth, was that guy was going to be more NFL ready, more pro ready, both mentally and physically. And Demetrius Knight has lived up to that billing. And he's also been very versatile in how they've been able to move him around a little bit. So that's been a big boon for him. Shamar Stewart, obviously, just getting the contract, getting on the field, having a couple pops and a couple flashes. It's going to be, he's moving around, which I like the idea of, but right now, after you've already had like a long period, you haven't been able to engage with the team and really work on things and learn things. I worry about maybe overloading a guy who is already raw coming out a little bit too much with multiple positions, but at least happy that he's looking good and he's on the field. Winner is Dylan Fairchild, and byproduct of that is losers are Cordell Olson and Cody Ford. They've really left the door open at guard for anybody to really kind of take the reins there, and it seems like Dylan Fairchild's kind of been the winner there by default.
Yeah.
He definitely looks the part, looks the better talent than what they've had there, but it's still a 3rd round rookie, and you want to be fair in your expectations there. Hopefully he keeps kicking butt there. Barrett Carter, winner for you, and of course loser there for Oren Burks in that case too. And I say Barrett Carter because he's been getting the green dot as a mid-round rookie, and Oren Burks, you're probably originally thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to come here and I'm going to start next to Logan Wilson, right? And I'm going to be part of the Bengals defense, and this is okay. All right. They took a linebacker, but I can compete and I can be still involved in that room, and then they double dip, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm still the veteran, but then you already get to camp now, and the 4th round rookie has the green dot and not the veteran. So I think that speaks a lot about how they view Barrett Carter already. I think he's going to be valuable on special teams. Think he'll be a valuable coverage, maybe 3rd down specialist linebacker. So yeah, those were kind of like my initial takeaways based on the new additions to the field and kind of what I see in a lot of different rotations as they're ironing themselves out right now.
Well, you stole the one that I was going to go with Shamar Stewart, but it's okay. I'll say one of my winners is Dax Hill. Dax Hill seems like he's bouncing back pretty nicely, making plays. DJ Turner was tiptoeing on that loser thing for me because it seemed like all the highlights that I kept seeing of guys, it just kept coming at the expense of a guy like DJ Turner, but he wound up bouncing back a little bit for a nice day. We'll see how it translates in the season. But DJ Turner seems to be on the mend. We'll see exactly what happens there. Chase Brown. Chase Brown. There are some huge expectations for Chase Brown this year. You got everybody in the building talking really high about Chase Brown. One guy we didn't bring up, TJ Slayton, is another guy that's been a training camp standout and a winner, right? Isaiah Williams, this is a guy that's been turning a lot of heads, right? Will he be that electrifying kick returner, punt returner? Is he going to be able to compete and bounce Charlie Jones, make Charlie Jones on the bubble, if you will, for the roster? There's so many names we can name, right? Mike Gesicki is a guy that continues to stand out. But there's a little bit more boring thing I want to say. I want to give a shout out to the coaching staff. For us being on the show, you guys know we are not afraid to criticize. We are not afraid to keep it real with you regarding our thoughts on coaching staff. And I think we all can agree Zach Taylor is an improve-it year here for the Bengals.
Yes. Is
it me, or does he seem more put together this season?
Yeah, it's got to be.
There seems like there's a plan, right? They seem like they're not just doing things to do things. There seems like there's real intent. The last time I seen this intensity with the team in a good way is maybe when Joe Burrow was coming off of the ACL injury. You had a guy like Jesse Bates who rallied the troops and told everybody we needed everybody participating in camp. But this is a good thing. This is exactly what you're hoping to see. But this coaching staff seems like they have an idea. They have a plan for everybody. To Evan's point, there's another guy that I want to shout out a little bit. I want to be very Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy seems like he's having a solid camp. He looks faster. He looks quicker. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna say.
Well, this brings up the question of if you have Shamar Stewart is looking good in flashes, even though he hasn't played and he's pretty much winning on athleticism. If you have Miles Murphy, who hasn't shown much, starting to look good. If Joseph Osai is looking good. Now Chris Jenkins and popping, and now TJ Slayton is offering more as a pass rusher than you thought he might. Is the D-line good and a lot better than we thought? Or
can I be real about something? I'm gonna say something. Some stuff. I'm the guy to say have uncomfortable conversations. That's me, right? I could talk about things people don't want to talk about. So let's talk about it. I'm rooting for Miles Murphy. I want Miles
I am
Murphy to
too.
be very good. I want Joseph Asai to be very, very good. But I think we all can agree the way that you're hearing Shamar Stewart being covered, right? And I got to shout my man out down there because he was the first person out of this panel that was really on the Shamar Stewart train. And then when I got wind that the Bengals were going to draft him, remember what I said the last State of Jungle War Room, Logan? I said, hey, it's going to be Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be
Yeah, you
Shamar
did.
Stewart. It seems like that's going to be the guy that they're leaning with. And I was like, sell me on him. Sell me on him. You don't have to sell me on him anymore, Logan. Everything that we talked about going into it, it seems like it's starting to manifest itself. He's a disruptor. He didn't have the production in college, right? But athletic freak, all that stuff is showing up. In all the years that we were hoping for a lot of these guys to really pan out on the defensive line, I don't think you've seen coverage from media in general, everyone talking about how disruptive Shamar Stewart has been in camp. And I'll get it. Is everybody going to say, well, that's the Bengals offensive line? I think the Bengals have two really good tackles.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals have two really good tackles in Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mims. And both of them have raved about Shamar Stewart. Some of the receivers are raving about Shamar Stewart. So it makes you wonder, right? It makes you think. Can this guy compete for a starting job earlier than we even anticipated? I mean, forget about a rotation. Could we actually be talking about Shamar Stewart and I guess maybe Trey Hendrickson at some point there, right? Can we be talking about that? Or is that too far-fetched?
No, I don't think it is. And we'll know. I don't know if there's any news that he's not playing, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I think this is and I see some people in the comments. I understand we got to wait until he produces, but we're going to see him get reps. And I'm with you. I think that, Malik, there's not a high bar for Shamar Stewart to hit if we're talking Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart right now. By the end of the
Wow.
Wait, what? There's not a
the
what?
Marcus Hunt erasure, the Will Clark erasure, the Rennell Wren erasure. Come on. The Jordan Willis erasure. Come on, man. What are you talking about? It's not a high bar to clear.
I'm saying that for the team, man, if we're talking the starter, there's not. I really don't. Obviously, you have Joseph Asai, you have Miles Murphy, but by the end of the season, respectively, with the talent he should be starting. And I understand the lack of the reps, sure, but Miles Murphy and Joseph Asai, they've gotten a decent amount of reps, but Shamar Stewart should be starting by the end of the season. Yeah. And for everybody here, like I said, we're going to see him get live reps tomorrow, and we're going to see him get live reps in the preseason.
I think the thing with Shamar is, Miles Murphy is going to have a role. All these guys are going to have the role because that's how DNs are. There's all different kinds of builds and play styles. But when you draft a guy like Shamar Stewart, and yes, the production is however you want to make of it, but at the end of the day, you draft guys like that, and those kind of players simply do not get better by not playing. So even if he's going to play a ton regardless, because you don't draft a guy that has so much to work on and so much potential, such a high floor due to his athleticism, and not play him. Like those guys, yes, you can, hold them out and kind of work on some things, but they need to play. Even if they're not doing things exactly how they're supposed to be doing them, he makes up for it in other ways that some people just can't do. If he gets washed down the field, on a down block, maybe he can make it sprint to the sideline quicker than everybody else. When you have that athleticism, you get that on the field in as many ways as they clearly are. Like Evan was talking about, they're moving him around. Maybe that's a little early to be moving him around, but they clearly see a guy that they think should be on the field, and they're going to get him on the field. I'm interested.
I'll take that counter to when we were begging
yeah.
for Charlie Jones to get on the
Yeah.
field, you and I, until week 16.
Yeah.
Just to hey, you guys, you're out of it. You're behind.
Play.
Just might as well have them on the field getting reps. And it is encouraging to see them at least invest a lot of time and resources into the development of the young guys so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see both players and coaches working a lot on technique and kind of the finer aspects before and after practice and in the early parts. That is something that has been lacking. So hopefully that can help them hit and be a lot more successful developing the players in the trenches than they have been the last 10 seasons.
For sure. Now, one thing I want to just note, and Jimmy, if we could do us a huge favor and put this up, that one kid put his comment up. I want to just shout this out really quickly. His comment is, tomorrow will be the best day ever. With the birth of my first child and the Bengals are back. Just want to say congratulations to you on behalf of the Sit Down Crew,
Congratulations, sir. Yes.
TWSN. We appreciate
sir.
you spending the birth eve of your child with the State of the Jungle crew, brought to you by TWSN. Boys, you know we're back. We have over 100 people watching us on the YouTube channel. But get this, guys, get this. Over 400 people watching us live right now, the real number, on Twitter. So we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching the show with us. We're glad to be back. We're excited to be back. It's going to be a different season, a new look season. We talked about defense a little bit there. I want to talk about the expectations for the Bengals defense this upcoming season. We all know the Bengals defense was down last year, right? Last 2 years, you would say. They fired defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, brought in new defensive coordinator Al Golden. It seems like the players are responding correctly. It seems like it's everything that you want. And it seems like it's put together. I want to get you guys' overall thoughts, your expectations for the defense. Evan, I want to start with you actually on this one.
When I look at this defense, what stands out to me is there are a lot of bodies at the overall defensive line. Sure, defensive tackle could use a little more depth. But I look at linebacker, I look at corner, I look at the edge room, and I go, there's a lot of guys here, but it's a lot of question marks, right? And that can be a good problem to have, where you take those multiple dice rolls, and sure, if you have 3 or 4 guys, you only need to hit on the one across from Trey Hendrickson to really make a difference, because they haven't gotten anything outside of Trey Hendrickson in recent years at all. So if you can get 6 sacks out of, a combined Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart, and then you can get another 12 sacks out of the guys on the interior with Chris Jenkins and TJ Slayton and BJ Hill, then maybe you can offset that and get the Bengals from being the 28th, the 30th best defense to the 18th, the 20th best defense. That's the jump you need to make, right? When you have so many of these young corners coming off of injury, with Dax Hill, with Cam Taylor-Britt coming off a rough year. Obviously, talked about DJ Turner. Love DJ Turner coming out, but this is kind of, we see the things that held him back from being a first round pick, the physical limitations to where even when you are, and it's a tough draw with Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, right? But that's the thing, is when you are in perfect position, when you play everything perfectly, but you can't jump high enough, you're not long enough, you're not tall enough, you're to get those perfectly placed balls, that shows up, and so that keeps you from really reaching your ceiling. So how does that corner room shake out with a 5th round corner like Fig Newton? How does that shape out with DJ Ivy coming off an injury and being a 7th round pick? How does that work with Dax Hill coming off major injury and moving around all over? So it's like, I just want to emphasize that there are a lot of question marks, but there are a lot of exciting pieces, and you only need to hit on 1 or 2 of the D-line projects. You only need to hit on 1 or 2 of these DBs and just get some stability in that safety room. And again, you're not asking for a giant jump. You're asking to go 6-8 spots up the defensive rankings, because if that offense looks like it did last year, especially after you add Noah Fant, especially after you talk about the Chase Brown run game has been involved in the entire season and didn't have to spend 6 to 8 weeks evolving, right? Then you're talking about a much more competitive team that's able to reach its ceiling and has a higher floor. And I think that's going to help you from losing those games that the Bengals seem to drop against the Patriots, the Vikings, the Seahawks, that random week 7 game that you're favored by 5.5, 6 points, and you end up just dropping. I think that is going to be able to help them stave off those losses that really hurt you come playoff seeding time.
I love what you just said there. But, I think when Al Golden was talking a lot about the defense and his plan, his objective, right, he talked about versatility, right? And so you're seeing a lot of these young guys, especially in the secondary, get reps to sort of, stretch themselves as far as possible, because you never know when you might be called upon. I think there's one thing. I don't know if we've heard a lot of plays being made from the safeties at all. In training camp. And I think a lot of that goes down to, I think the defense has been sound from a man-to-man perspective, right? Or at least has been more competitive from that standpoint. I'm just excited to see exactly what sort of takes place here. Daniel, what are your thoughts on or your expectations for the Bengals defense this year?
Yeah, you guys touched on, a lot. For me, and it's very simple, and you guys obviously know this. If you can bring pressure, that's how you win. And I think everything comes down to the front seven with the Bengals. I think if they can fix the front seven, that comes from many different packages, whether, bringing in the Shamar Stewart packages, whether it's Chris Jenkins developing. If you can figure out that front seven, I think that this defense has the potential. And I think that they can, right? The fact that Demetrius Knight is right now, quote unquote, the starter, he's getting, rave reviews, obviously, from Jamar Chase, the players. I think that linebacking position is such a massive need. And if they fix that with Demetrius Knight, I think that's one check mark off the box. And two things that I really penciled in last year when watching the film and watching these guys was the fourth and shorts. That's what screwed the Bengals over. We can all point to one specific game, right? The Steelers game. They brought in Justin Fields, and we know what happened. Justin Fields ran, I think it was outran Miles Murphy. But that edge defender spot being too slow or not being in position, I think that killed the Bengals so many times in crucial positions. We saw it with the Lamar Jackson on Sam Hubbard last year, right? The famous move, right? On third down, he breaks Sam Hubbard down. I think if we can get that position figured out, I think that's going to be such a massive thing. I think adding Shamar Stewart to the room, I think the Bengals, they've got the potential to do it. But for me, my eyes are going to go to the development of this defensive line and this front seven. And like I said, I'm circling Demetrius Knight. I'm circling Shamar Stewart. But that's just kind of my thoughts on the front seven and what I want to see, because I know those plays infuriated me too much last year. I'm sure they infuriated everybody. And I think the Bengals know that. And those are things I think are correctable and will be corrected this year.
Before we get to Logan, I want you guys to do us a huge favor. Start dropping your questions down in the comment section. There's going to be a section built into the show where we like to answer all of your questions. So make sure you guys do that, because we'll definitely be sure to get to all of them. Logan?
Yeah, I think for me, the expectations are pretty simple. Like they need to be better than they were last year. And like, that's where that defense was so bad last year that's all I can say about it coming into the year. Just please be better than you were last year. And the reason that I think there's some excitement, to a degree on my end, is a lot of things that kind of Evan was talking about. We have a lot of bodies, which allows you to do a lot of different things. Like, it's kind of similar to what I talked about on the offense. I feel like that this defense has a lot of athletes. They have a lot of guys that can cover ground. They have a lot of guys that can make plays. They have a lot of guys that can do a little bit of everything. And I think that when you have a defensive coordinator that might feel a little more equipped, like dealing with those kind of guys, it gets you pretty excited. Like, Lou did a lot of creative things in his own right, but he never got the most out of those tweener kind of guys. And I feel like the Bengals have kind of almost bought into that even more, kind of moving Dax Hill back into the slot, drafting a guy like Barrett Carter, even Shamar Stewart, moving him around and stuff already. You're drafting these world-class athletes and, already having that expectation that they can impact the game in a lot of ways. I think that is a very smart risk to take. And I think that that's where the defense can get exciting. Obviously, there's going to be some ups and downs, but the vision with it is, like, to me, it's very clearly defense that is going to be fast, creative, and just play hard and do a lot of unique things. And I think when you do that, you're going to create a lot of, hopefully a lot of turnovers, but you're probably going to give up a lot of big plays too. That's how it is when you play like this. But the potential to have, more turnovers or more, impactful chunk plays on defense feel way more likely than they have in years past, even with the defense being in the state that it's currently in.
Well, before we switch to the next topic, this show is brought to you by the people, meaning you guys. We appreciate you guys for tuning in to State of the Jungle. Make sure you guys give this video a like and subscribe to the channel while you guys are here. We appreciate you. Listen, the next question, right? The next topic is, will the Bengals break through? Before we even get to that, Jimmy, you can put it up on the screen, but before we even get to that, we got to address the elephant in the room. We haven't been live with you guys since June, the first week in June, I believe it was. As things change, some things stay the same. The elephant in the room is Trey Hendrickson is still unsigned. We haven't talked about it yet. What is everyone's thoughts on that? Because I think that any talk of the Bengals having a top unit defense, you need to talk about the NFL sack king not being under contract, and more importantly, not practicing with the team.
Yeah.
And we need to get true temperature on that. I want to get everyone's opinion on it. I mean, we were talking about this early in the season, and there was been a lot of back and forth. There were some thoughts that, hey, the Bengals might get it figured out with him. He even thought that there was some thought that he might get it figured out with them. Here's one thing I can tell you guys with absolute certainty. The Bengals, right, with Trey Hendrickson, and I don't know if I'm breaking any news here or even saying anything that hasn't been said already, but I wanted to provide a little bit more, shed a little bit more light. I was with Trey Hendrickson a few weeks ago. The Saturday, I don't remember exactly the date it was. I was with Trey Hendrickson and his agent, and we were having a conversation. They were telling everybody who would listen that the deal was basically done. They were absolutely certain that the deal was done. The plan was Trey Hendrickson was going to step foot on the sit down with Malik Wright, and we're going to do a sit down interview. I do not know if he was going to break that said news on there, but I do know that Monday was the plan for that interview. Daniel had flew back into town, and that was the whole plan for it. And obviously, it did not come to fruition. The Bengals sent back the second contract, the final offer, I guess the most recent offer, and it did not include that second year guarantee that he was told would be, right? So therefore, he decided to go back to Florida, and then there was the whole debacle. But there was a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of promises being made. But what I could tell you is they are closer than not to getting a deal done. It's just going to be, can the Bengals get out of their own way? And that's, it's a negotiation. It's going to be about a little give and take, a little give and pull there. Will it happen? I have no idea. I'd like to believe that it's going to happen. But the fact that we're in August and the first preseason game is tomorrow and we're still having this conversation, it's probably going to be one of those things that don't get done until the 11th hour, right? But I want to get you guys' thoughts overall on the Trey Hendrickson debacle, because I think that any talk of the Bengals have defense having resurgence has to include the NFL sack king. So, Daniel, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think it's really, obviously everybody's kind of said a lot about this whole Trey Hendrickson situation. If I had to guess, I don't know if it gets done, but there is no way I see this going to where Trey Hendrickson doesn't play for the Bengals this season. Like I don't see a world where Trey Hendrickson sits out the entire season, whether that's, hey, him saying I'm not losing out on my money, or whether it's the Bengals going out and giving him the extension. I just struggle to see how Trey Hendrickson is going to be okay with sitting out the entire season. And I think that's just what my gut tells me, right? Is, hey, even if the Bengals don't give him that extension, I don't know if I see him sitting 2 weeks. I don't know if I see him sitting 3 weeks. And I think if I had to put, my gut on this right now, obviously Jamar Chase and him were in different situations, but we saw this very similar last year where Jamar Chase was disgruntled. Jamar Chase was annoyed, and it bled into his season, but he ended up playing. So I hope that Trey Hendrickson can get his extension. I think he's deserving of this extension. I just hope that the Bengals are willing to meet him halfway. And my fear,
Daniel, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
He is 100% dug in. He is he will miss games. Like this isn't just blowing smoke here.
Yeah.
He will miss games. That you can't tell a player, and I'm not trying to create this into a bigger scenario than what you can't. It's just like the same thing with Jamar. You approach Jamar, you say, Jamar, we're going to get a deal done with you last offseason. Then they start negotiating the numbers and say, you know what, before we give you that number, prove it to us. Luckily, no injuries happened when he went out and became a Triple Crown King, signed the check, no problem. You can't say the same thing to Trey Hendrickson. Remember, when he signed the extension before, they said, we're going to take care of you when it comes up again. Then they told him all summer, we're going to take care of you. You are part of that. Joe was very clear. He wanted him to be a part of that whole big three being signed of T. Higgins, Jamar, and Trey Hendrickson. You can't say that a deal is going to get done. That's like me saying, hey, you know what? All you guys are going to get a raise. I promise you. Then it comes time to sit down and discuss. And then when it comes time to up the ante and finally pay you guys, I'm like, you know what? I lied. I didn't lie. Before we up the contract that you guys get, let's have another good year of State of the Jungle before I fully commit to that. I just want to see what the numbers look like with everything in totality. How would you guys feel about it?
Yeah, but my question to this is and to your point, I think you're making a great point. Yeah. But my point is, like, they're offering the contract. This is not what he wants. So my concern is, are they willing to meet him? And if they're not, like, and this is just my gut, you're saying he's dug in And I guess that's where my thought process is. I'm curious to see how dug in he is, because I hope he is, because I just don't know if the Bengals are going to go above and beyond to give him that $30 million. And I guess that's just what my gut is telling me is, hey, I think that they're not budging on the offer that they gave him, to be honest.
I think we all can agree he's probably worth that. If you're waiting for him to fall off a little bit, I'm talking about from
after what the market, whether the Bengals
Right.
believe their arbitrary bullshit number that they decided that they will not move off of, despite what anything happens, that doesn't matter. It's just like a house. If all the houses in the same neighborhood and then next door to it all go for $700K, it doesn't matter that you think the house is worth $400K. It's going to be valued significantly higher than that.
Yeah.
And you waited for all those houses to get sold. Well, guess what? Now you're going to pay for it.
Yes.
And that's
100%.
the problem is you get the premium, you get the discount if you sign it early. And they said no. They continued to kick the can down the road.
Where has that philosophy changed? Because there used to be a point in time where the Bengals used to be ahead of
That
those
is a great
contracts.
question, Malik. It used to be sign your own, reward your guys. That's what we do. And man, I'm
They
looking
never
at
used to get into the contract year, actually.
on top
Never.
of it, just sign the fucking guy.
Yeah.
One, you promised it already. Two, I think this gets done the week before the season starts. But who else are you signing to a big contract on that defense in the next 2 years?
Yeah.
Because right now
You have the
you have
money.
a $60 million difference between what you're paying your offense and your defense right now. In 2026, that goes to almost $80 million. And in 2027, there is $100 million difference between what you're paying your defense and your offense.
Yeah.
So again, I ask you, which guy on your defense is getting top, even mid-tier market money? Cam Taylor-Britt and Dax Hill are going to have to fight for every dollar they can get, and they're probably going to end up in that like middle, like upper third, right?
Yeah.
But you're not getting top 4, top 5
But
corner.
even if you sign Trey to a 2-year deal, let's say it's a 2-year deal with an option for a
How
third
bad
year.
does Trey have to be this season that you would cut him? That's what we're arguing about.
Yeah.
Is not the guarantees for this year, the guarantees for next year. How fucking bad does Trey have to be this year that you would even think about cutting him outright next year?
Right.
Because here's what has to happen. Trey has to get 0 sacks. Miles Murphy has to get 10 sacks and look fucking great. And Shamar Stewart also has to get like 8 sacks and look
100%.
great. And that's the only scenario where you even think about it. So again, I ask you, what are we doing here? Because you have the cap space. You can structure the contract. You can get yourself out of having any guaranteed money in those 3rd and 4th years. Hell, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are supposed to get $90 and $57 million in 2030. That's an accounting thing. They're not actually going to see that money. None of it's guaranteed. So why can't the Bengals in that case? Hey, we want to get the average value up. Hey, we'll give you guarantees this year. We'll give you guarantees next year. And even though the contract will have 3 and 4 years like you want, those years aren't guaranteed. Just like A.J. Brown is not going to see the $53 million. They'll either restructure the contract or he'll go and get cut and move on somewhere else. It's funny money. It's not real, but the Bengals act like it is. And they have to win. And they can't give 5 or 10% more than their arbitrary number because they have to win the argument. They treat it like a zero-sum game where if we don't get him at our number, we lose. And the answer is you don't lose.
Right.
You lose $2.5 to $3 million. But you still get to keep the excellent fucking defensive player that you desperately need.
Yeah.
And if the difference is that $3 million is really breaking you, then cut Geno Stone. Because if you're telling me the difference is you can have either Geno Stone and no Trey, or you can have Tyson Anderson and Trey Hendrickson, give me the roll of the dice with Tyson Anderson and just hope that doesn't matter. Like, none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense except for the Bengals being dug in. Like, there's just the market is saying he deserves more. Them, the last 2 years, like you said, promising to take care of him year after year after year, saying your time will come. Everything with his production, his health, everything points to the guy deserves the money. And they're just like, seems a little steep though, doesn't it? And it's like, because you chose the worst time to buy.
Yeah.
You waited for 4 defensive ends all around his age to sign giant contracts. That's you being an idiot. And Trey Hendrickson doesn't have to pay that price. You do.
Cook Evan. Wow. Evan's starting off with a huge
Yeah, that
bang,
was awesome.
man.
Pisses
He
me
started
off,
with a-
man. It's crazy.
He started off with a bang, man. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. Got 600 people watching us live on Twitter, and we have about 130 people watching us on the YouTube. So we appreciate that you guys are spending your Wednesday evenings with us. Again, this is the first State of the Jungle of season 3 officially with us. So anybody else want to give some takes? Logan, I know you were sitting down there probably waiting.
No, yeah, it's hard to say anything else after what Evan said, but it's just truly this is the second contract this offseason where the Bengals kind of are getting hung up in these what ifs. Same thing with Shamar Stewart. Yes, we have the team contract or the detrimental team conduct thing. Like, yes, there is a 1% chance Shamar Stewart turns out to be the worst human being in the world. Like, yeah, sure, that's possible. Yes, maybe Trey Hendrickson has a 0 sacks and is the worst defensive end in football. Sure, that's possible, but why are we acting like those things are
Even then, are you
gonna
cutting
happen?
him? Like,
No,
let's say
you're
he
not.
tore his ACL and was coming off a no game season. Are you even cutting him
No,
still?
I don't think so.
Right.
And that's I think that's just the annoying part about it is they don't seem I don't want to say they're not operating in like realism, but like it's hard to see where they come from.
Choosing a
lot.
weird hill to
And-
die on.
Yeah,
Very
it's just I just don't. That's the frustrating part about everything. Like, yes, I get you need to not just throw money at a bunch of people to do this stuff, but like it's not like it's not the most obvious thing in the world for all the reasons we've talked about to sign Trey Hendrickson or to get Shamar Stewart on the field. It's just it's weird hills to die on. It's weird things to kind of fall back. It's just everything about it is just kind of awkward and just there's no real common sense angle to it. I think that's always been the most frustrating part for me.
And one last thing, Evan was discussing like the cap situation. They have the 8th most cap space next year. You have $66 million freed up, and who do you have to pay? Like, I understand having free cap, I understand that, but if you have the money, why don't you spend it? What else are you going to spend it on? Right? Are you going to spend it on adding an extra guy for $10 million? I think
It's clearly not a guard.
But that's the thing is, it's Dax. If it's Dax Hill or Cam Taylor-Britt, or even both of them, those guys are getting what, 12 million?
Maybe.
Like, Dax has moved around to 3 different positions and had multiple injuries. Cam Taylor-Britt's had injury problems, but also had just being on the field and being competent problems after last year. So like, none of those guys are hitting the market at the premium time for a young corner. So like, what are either of them getting? Probably that mid-tier money of like $12 million. And again, you're going to be having an $80 million discrepancy next season between your offense and your defense. You got to pay somebody.
And that's another thing about it too. Just like if maybe if they were smart, maybe they would be trying to buy low in one of the corners right now, sign them even cheaper. So you have a controllable, controllable asset at a premium position. That's a good athlete, but that's something for a different day, I guess.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you guys. Again, over 700 people watching in totality, right? Close to 800 people watching us live. We appreciate you guys. I want to jump on over to Jimmy. You're getting a comment. Jimmy, get on the Discord. I don't know what that means, but
Jimmy's busy running the show. He's back there kicking butt.
How about the guard spot for the Bengals? How we all feeling about Lucas Patrick, Cody Ford?
Dude,
And
I said this
how we
months
feel about
ago because we were asked a question before we left on hiatus, like a little bit after the draft, where it was like, what do you guys see them adding to the defensive tackle room, the guard or whatever? And
Taven Bryan.
I can't remember who the reporting was from, but I remember hearing like, oh yeah, they're not interested in like adding to the guard room, but maybe corner or defensive tackle if it pops up right.
Yeah,
I was just like, that just checks out, because how many times in the last 8 years have the Bengals overvalued their backup project linemen that they were never able to do well with, whether that's defensive line or offensive line? And I just getting flashbacks of that right now, looking at the situation, and that just stands out to me.
for me, honestly, and I know we're talking about guards, but the way I see it, and obviously I do think that they should add to the guard room, but my little change is I think that the most important thing on this offensive line, I think it's the health of Marius Mims, to be honest with you. I think if he is healthy,
Really either tackle.
if both of them are healthy and there, I like that is the way that this season won't go to crap with this offensive line. I think that they can make it work with the guys that they got on the interior. Obviously, it will be a struggle. I think that they should improve. But if I see either offensive tackle go down, I think you are in a terrible spot, because then it puts Cody Ford to the outside. Then you have to mix and match. And for me, that's just the way I view this offensive line room. Like I
you
think,
want to know something too, Daniel?
Yeah.
You know who else believes that and thinks that exact same way?
the Bengals.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
That's how the Bengals think.
Yeah.
And I got news for you, Daniel.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. When you
Yeah.
look at how Joe Burrow tore his ACL,
Mm.
it's been the guard play. What has been
Yeah.
continuously broken throughout his career? It's been the guard play. Listen, Joe Burrow has proven the ability to evade edge rushers throughout his career.
Yeah.
The Achilles heel of any quarterback is a great interior pass rush.
Yeah.
I do not want to use this show as a mouthpiece to co-sign bullshit.
Okay.
So I'm not going to co-sign. Not saying that's what you're
Yeah,
going to do,
yeah.
but I won't co-sign that bullshit. I will not say, hey, you know what, Cincinnati Bengals, hey, as long as your tackles are good, the guards, you can continue to pay guards below market. Because guess what?
Yeah.
Here's one thing I can say, and I know that's not what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're all hoping Dylan Fairchild plays well, right? Can we all agree to that?
Yeah.
Hoping.
Right, Evan? Right? Now imagine Dylan Fairchild goes out there and he becomes a Pro Bowler one year. Let's say he plays really good.
Love it.
Right? We would all love that.
Love it.
Yeah.
But what would happen after 4 years? Now, we got to deal in the here and now. We got to deal in the here and now. It's an Achilles heel. Somebody said in the comment section. It is the Achilles heel of the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Where they do not view the guard position as such a premium position to pay. But there's a reason why you take a look around the National Football League.
Or draft, let's be honest.
Or draft. There's a reason when you take a look around the National Football League and you see guards getting paid $18 million now. Are you still in the thought process that guards can only make around $8 million? Right? Are you still in that thought process? Because one would have to believe you get what you're willing to pay for. Now, if you go out there and you draft a guy and he winds up being a very good player for you, you're struck gold. And you have had good guard play, Kevin Zeitler. You have seen what good guard play looks like. You also have seen what bad guard play looks like. I prefer the latter.
10 years of it.
Yes. Say what we want. Andy Dalton, for a majority of his career, had good guard play.
Mm-hmm.
When the Bengals were making the playoffs, they had good guard play. Somewhere along the line, the philosophy changed. And I'm here to tell you right now that the Bengals need to view the offensive line as a whole, as an investment, not only into their future, but into Joe Burrow's future. And if you want to hoist the shiny Lombardi trophy ring, well, I hope that Lucas Patrick is everything that you signed him to be. And I hope that Dylan Fairchild lives up to expectations. Because right now, with guys like Dalton Risner sitting on the free agent market, or guys like Brandon Sheriff, who is not retired up until this point, still sitting out there. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Will Hernandez, who just got cleared as well. I just don't know how I can confidently say you're doing everything in your power to protect number 9. You're doing everything in your power to bring a championship to the city of Cincinnati. Let me tell you right now, there is not a fan base, a city that deserves a championship more than Cincinnati. So you can't tell me, right? You have a generational quarterback. You have a generational receiver, a generational receiving core, if one could say. You have Noah Fant, who's been – I've been pounding the damn table for Noah Fant for years. I've been pounding the damn table for Mike Gesicki for years. You have all of that. You are driving a Ferrari as an offense, but you put a Honda engine in it. That's the way I think. That's the way I see it. At the end of the day, if you're the Bengals, you got to look at it and say, how can we maximize the Joe Burrow era? Because believe it or not, it's crazy. Joe Burrow's in year 6.
Mm-hmm.
He's in year 6.
Flies by.
And we're
man.
still having the same conversation regarding the offensive line that we've been having.
When Duke Tobin said, talking about the Shamar Stewart contract, the Bengals are allowed to evolve just like the rest of the league. They weren't talking about that, Malik. They weren't talking about anything other than just the language of the Shamar contract. No other way are they going to evolve because they know better in that way.
And so I don't mean to bag on them. I'm just being honest.
I
The
do.
guard play has been horrendous.
Yeah.
It could be better. You have tried to get better at all these other avenues of the team. And guess what? As the biggest tight end advocate here, the biggest advocate of Noah Fant, thank you, Bengals. The biggest advocate of Mike Gesicki, thank you, Bengals. As much as I love those players and I campaign for the Bengals to sign them, you still need to build football throughout the trenches. You still need to do that. And I do not think the Bengals have done the best job of doing that. I really, really sincerely hope Joe Burrow can stay upright this year. Because guess what? This offense is so damn talented.
Mm-hmm.
This offense is so damn talented. We're talking about deep, too. We're talking about Jamar Chase. We're talking about T. Higgins. We're talking about Jermaine Burton. We're talking about Andre Yoshibas. Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant. Name a more loaded offensive receiving room than the Bengals have right now. I don't know if I can name one. Take advantage of this right now, Cincinnati. Don't let the preseason be what sells you on these guys going against backups, please.
Yeah.
Can I ask? I just
Go
want
ahead.
to toss a question out here, and maybe you guys can answer this. Why is it that Shamar Stewart, who's been here for a week and a half, right, trying to find his way, why is he moving around in all these different spots when he's raw? And they say it's good for him to get the experience at all the spots, but then for Jalen Rivers, suddenly he only needs to play tackle. We're only putting tackle on his plate right now when it's could really potentially be the best guard for you. And he's looked a little clunky at tackle at times, and a lot of people really liked him as a prospected guard. So again, the same thing with the Shamar. Oh yeah, we're going to evolve in how we do contracts. Oh, but not when it comes to Jamar or T or Trey or Joe. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're going to move around Shamar because yeah, it's important to get experience and learn multiple spots and have that versatility. But then you go to Matt Lee or Jalen Rivers.
Yeah.
It's no. That's their spot and that's where they're going and they can't cross train. Like I don't understand the double speak. Can you guys make it make sense to me? Because I don't
know. I really don't know either. Like I want to say in the last couple of days they've mentioned Rivers maybe moving around, but it wasn't still indefinite. But it is just weird. Like especially because like you said, Matt Lee, Seth McLaughlin now too. Like somebody's either going to get cut or get punished for not moving to guard. Like you're starting to add like a bunch of people that we all kind of like, and we see the potential there, with Rivers, Lee, McLaughlin. Like those are 3 quality offensive linemen, but we're going to end up losing them because we're not, 2 of them are center only. One of them is a tackle only. Like you got to get the most out of your players. And, maybe they're all younger. The offensive line is trying to, I don't know the reasons for it is, but it is frustrating, especially, I know you asked about Rivers, but I feel the same frustration with Lee and McLaughlin too. Like one of those guys has to play guard. You're not keeping 3 centers, and it doesn't feel like any of those people should necessarily really be on the chopping block right now. Like that doesn't feel smart with the the state of our offensive line. Like you gotta keep talent back there. It's the same thing we talk about the defense. The defense might not have the top end talent, but at least they got a lot of it. In a lot of places, they might not have that elite guys, but with the line, it would make sense if you're at least keeping some fun depth. But no, we don't have good starters, and you're not keeping or getting flexible with the depth you have. It's weird. It is a really weird thing.
Yeah, I think just looking at that, you hope that they do, because at the end of the day, I think you put it best. Like you're going to lose these guys. Like there's a chance that 1 to 2 of these guys aren't going to be a roster. Why the hell are you not playing them at these different spots? And you just hope that they're not comfortable with what they have. And I think that was my biggest question mark, with the Noah Fant thing is, hey, you've got the ability to go out and get Noah Fant, but you can't address your offensive line. So they're going the sexy route, and you just hope that it doesn't bite you in the ass, because that is the one thing that can ruin your season is a Joe Burrow injury. And I don't know if Noah Fant versus a guard, if that helps save that. So,
yeah, I think it's important to remove ego a lot when we talk about things like this, right? I think that I think there's a reason why, you're in the position that you're in. You don't have to be, right? I'm really hoping that the Bengals could really get out of their own way when it comes to the guard, the mentality when it comes to the offensive line, the guard spot. Again, if you guys do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or upload content. We have over 800 people watching us in total on both the YouTube and the Twitter. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and being consistent viewers for us. Hey, listen, we talked a little bit at length, defense, offense, training camp, the whole 9 yards. Now it's time for the big showdown, right? Or so to speak. Preseason. Bengals take on the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow. I want to get what everyone's expectations are for this game. What are some of the takeaways that you're hoping to see? What are you hoping to see? Evan, let's start with you.
I really want to look at trench play. Preseason preseason's tough to glean a lot from, right? Because it's a lot like kind of watching college prospects where you have to kind of ignore a lot of the surrounding stuff and look very isolated at the matchup. So like you're going to get a lot of basic coverages. You're not going to get all the like really interesting stunts and twists and exotic looks and different things that they've been working on. You're going to get a lot of like basic, just kind of line up, play, regular basic coverage shells. And that's not going to lend itself to a whole lot of very valuable experience against other offenses that are just trying to, as coaches say with backup quarterbacks all the time, we want you to be able to get the play call in, get the snap off, just execute the play, right? The bar is so low for a lot of these guys who are going to be second, third, and fourth stringers. So I preface that to say, like, first and foremost, don't read too much into anything. We know the preseason drop narrative with Jamar Chase was overblown. We know that sometimes,
according to him, it wasn't, by the way.
Sometimes guys come out and kick ass in the preseason and then disappear entirely. So I'll just tell everybody, temper your expectations real quick. But if you are looking for something that you can kind of glean and take valuable kind of information away from, I would say is the trenches. I think that's where you're going to have, hey, this is still a one-on-one matchup. This is still you trying to get to the quarterback on passing downs. Like, sure, they're not going to be doing maybe as many traditional deep like quarterback drops. They'll be getting the ball out a little bit quicker, maybe doing a little bit more play action and boots and stuff, just keeping people moving, getting the rust off and trying not to get hit as much. But I still think you're going to be able to watch Shamar Stewart, Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, some of these kind of second tier offensive linemen, a lot of these young guys. I think that in the trenches is where you're going to be able to still have some valuable reps that you can kind of glean some information from about how they're developing and what they're looking like and who are the best defensive linemen and the best offensive linemen for the Bengals coming up and the guys who are projects to be excited about. I think that's what I'll be looking for most. Everything else is kind of, I'm expecting a lot of wide receiver screens. I'm expecting a lot of, basic halfback runs. I'm not expecting too much crazy stuff, but I'm still going to enjoy just football being back, man.
I'll tell you one thing before I go to Logan. There's one thing I'm looking forward to, and it's the, I would say the annual, right at this point, Jermaine Burton deep throw, deep catch. I'm sure that's going to happen tomorrow. He's going to have a big time play. He's going to get some opportunity out there. I'm excited to see his maturation. I really, really am. But Logan,
I'm back and forth between a few things. I think the first thing that I'm pretty excited to see is linebackers. Really the rookies. Demetrius Knight and my favorite player ever, Barrett Carter. I'm just interested to see how they're used. I'm interested to see what Al Golden's going to do again. Like Evan said, nothing will probably be too crazy. You're not going to show anything super creative or just that you're going to kind of say for the season. But it's been a while since we've had these new age linebackers. I think it kind of took us a while to kind of adapt to that and add these uber athletic guys at the position. And I'm just kind of see what their first impression is over there, especially being so high on Barrett Carter throughout the draft cycle. And not that I wasn't on Demetrius Knight. He was, for a pure draft prospect thing, there's a lot of ways to look at it. But he should be ready to come in and kind of contribute right away. So I'm interested to see if that's the case. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'm really interested to see the running backs. Just in general, again, it's not going to be anything crazy, but I think that's sometimes when the running backs can make the most of things when you're running very basic runs and you're still, running through contact, making guys miss, doing whatever. So how is Taj Brooks going to look? Even the depth guys after him, I don't know how much run we're going to see from P. Ryan. Really, I have no clue. But the other kind of awkward position that I'm interested to see with kind of the injuries, Mike Gesicki's not playing, Noah Fant's not playing. How is the tight end room going to shake out? I'm not sure. They keep four or five tight ends, whatever it's going to be. But you have Fant, Gesicki, Sample going to make the team. But then after that, is Tanner McLaughlin going to pop finally as this receiving tight end that we think he could be? Does he take that Tanner Hudson super depth role? Does Cam Grandy come out here and look, like a guy that's going to be a similar replacement to Drew Sample? Do you keep him? It's just they have a kind of some different bodies, some different stereotypes there at the tight end position. I'm kind of just interested to see which one of those guys kind of gets the first opportunity and kind of runs with it.
Do you think we see they were saying the starters are going to play like a quarter, right?
Depending on reps. Yeah.
Do you think we see a Joe Burrow pass attempt that is anything besides a 3-step drop, like wide receiver screen, 3-step drop or boot?
Yeah.
You think we see like a 5 or a 7-step drop?
I think Joe's going to air one out. I think he's going to air one out.
I think he'll air one out, but I think it'll be like a 3-step drop and then just chuck it down the sideline,
if protection's there, who knows,
But that's, dude,
you
betting on the protection.
Who are the Eagles playing is the question of that. The Eagles playing their starters.
The Bengals backups have been doing fine on the D line, so I don't know if that matters. I might take the Eagles backup D line. Yeah.
If the plan is for Joe Burrow just to throw 3-step drops and then cut the
I think that's the plan, but that's the thing is when people were like,
for this week,
they're going to give preseason reps more to the starters and that's going to fix the problems. I appreciate the intention that they've had in practice about being more intensive, more physical, trying to do different situations that they feel apply to the games more. But yeah, I always hated the idea of they're going to play 10 or 15 more preseason snaps and that's going to solve all the slow start problems, because that's what I always came back to is this is Joe Burrow handing the ball off or this is Joe Burrow throwing a wide receiver screen. This is not meaningful experience that's actually going to have a tangible difference besides him going out there and just essentially going through the motions. So that's just kind of always where I come back to with the preseason reps, because I think about the injury risk for your starters, because how many of those walk through reps on just a random freak accident of blocking someone gets hurt do you want? How much are those snaps valuable to a guy like Jamar Chase, to Trey Henderson, to Joe Burrow? Like the rookies, the young guys, I think they should be out there. I think they should be playing. But like, Joe Burrow and Jamar and T are all good. Like, keep them on the treadmill, warm them up on the sideline. Like, I don't
want to see Jamar out there, honestly.
I don't want to see any of them. I don't think you need to see a single star in the preseason. Again, I think how you perform and how you prepare every day all through the offseason matters so much more than getting those 10 vanilla snaps of the preseason.
You're talking like stars.
Yeah. For rookies, for developing guys, for guys you're evaluating, for guys who are integrating to a new team, sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Get the offensive line out there with those starters, maybe for a series or two. But I just what is running out there and doing a quick little RPO slant to Jamar? What is that like unlocking for Joe Burrow in week 1 that you wouldn't otherwise? Like,
we'll see how they approach it. I think, if they come out there and just do that, then it's a little.
I know the players want it. I know they want to be out there. I know they want to put the pads on, but I just always am of the sense of like, hey, your stars are your stars. Like, even if they didn't practice all season.
I do think it's beneficial for Joe a little bit, right? Yeah. Because
I know Joe wants that. I know he does.
Hear me out. Forget even what Joe wants for a second. I'm just talking about just strictly realistic. How the last 2 seasons, right?
Right.
He didn't look great in the Patriots game to start. Now, obviously, there was a drop touchdown pass as well, and there was.
But that's the risk. That's Jamar with the contract. That's a lot of things that like, and 10 more snaps in the preseason game wasn't going to fix that, right?
I am interested to see how it plays out because we talk about the last couple of years we've talked about it. I think even coming into the year, like joint practices and how I think those are really beneficial. And I think a lot of people kind of agree with that sentiment. I think someone kept up about the Rams, how like he doesn't care. Joint practices is all I care about. Not having one with the Eagles, maybe that's why they're throwing the reps out here early.
Yeah.
And then once the joint practices roll around, those games are kind of scale it back. Maybe that's a thought process with this approach. I don't know, but I just thought of it. And I was like,
there's no pre-snap disguising, right? So there's no mental reps. No. And again, if he's just going out there and throwing slants and throwing screens and handing the ball off.
I'm following what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you just risk contact somewhere or just a non-contact injury. And it's like, dude, like, it takes one. You go out there for 3 weeks and everything's fine. And then it's like, hey, they're going to play one drive in week 4 and then we're going to put them on ice. And then someone goes out there in a block and just falls the wrong way. And then it's like, now everything you thought was worth it isn't.
But
one guy. That's all it takes.
And again, this is all stuff that probably be in practice too. I think maybe going against another defense that doesn't know your cadence and know certain things, maybe seeing how the offensive line also reacts to the quarterback is things that could be benefit. I understand where you're coming from, but I do see some benefit to it.
I know it's not a popular take. I know.
No, it's very minuscule. I completely get that. Daniel?
Yeah, I think for preseason, like, I mean, I'm just looking forward to honestly just the defensive line. I think if there's one thing, and I know I mentioned this before, but those are the guys, when we talk about football, those are the guys, obviously they have their own plays, but they get to go 1,000%. And these are the guys that get to go out there and prove it. Whatever the offense is doing, however vanilla it is, they still have their opportunity to prove themselves. And I think those are the guys, the Myles Murphy, the Shamar Stewart, Chris Jenkins. These are the reps, even the depth guys on the defensive line. Those are the reps for me that matter and I think those are the reps that I think we could see translate, because if a guy at least shows something, we know there's something to work with. But if a guy like Myles Murphy's out there in preseason and he's not flashing, I think that is a major red flag, because you should be. If you're out there for 8, 10, 12 snaps, especially, in the run game, you should be showing something. So for me, I'm just going to be really dialing into the defensive line and seeing what they do.
Somebody said, I'm curious to see how many coaching jobs have been declined to do this. I'm curious how many coaching jobs basically Evan has declined to do due to this podcast. Someone said.
I always go back to trying to, especially when coaches always say that, like, we have less time than ever, right? Then you need to be more efficient with your time than ever. That means you need to be working on high leverage situations, red zone, short yardage. You need to have plans for those situations. End of game, 2 minute. Like, the in between the 20s game, especially for the Bengals, you're great at that. But like the high leverage stuff is where you keep falling short,
what do
right?
we always say? Situational coaching.
Exactly. Like
Oh,
spending 45 minutes working on very intentional things that you want to improve on or high leverage is worth more than an hour and a half in the sun just baking, barking at people, trying to teach them something, or using drills that don't apply to a lot of game scenarios or might only apply to once or twice a game. Like, yeah, sure, those moments can matter, but if you're working on things that don't matter for 60, 70, 80% of your plays, you're probably wasting your time. You probably could use that time and those reps and those resources somewhere else. So I always go back to that. And again, I understand the value of preseason for guys who need experience. Your stars are not those guys, in my opinion.
I understand.
That's where I always
I
go back
understand.
to.
I just think that maybe because in the Zach Taylor era, they have not put a full emphasis on it, and the players are saying that they wanted.
I can appreciate them just wanting to do something different.
Right.
I get
so
that.
Maybe this will be the start of the reason they start fast. Maybe, who knows? I have no idea.
I would just also say any of the teams that were like, hey, we play our starters in the preseason. Can you point to the interview where they said, what was the key to your great success? And they go, that extra drive I got in week 3 of the preseason really just kind of propelled me to this week 12 win. Like I get it for like trying to shake the rust off. But again, I think it's younger players and guys who are trying to prove themselves or get more game tape. I think that's the opportunity for them. I don't think your stars need to be out there. They know what they're doing. You trust them. They've been working all off season. They probably have very expensive trainers. They've been doing all right,
Yeah. Well, we want to get to the fun part of the show. Well, it's our last thing. So one of the things we always do, we like to answer as many questions as possible. So without further ado, before I hand it over to Daniel, make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Just a quick reminder, we're live on YouTube, Twitter, and we are now live on Twitch. We have a Twitch channel to sit down with Malik Wright. As you guys know, we have a show. Jimmy, do we have that up there? No, we don't have that up there. Well, we're going to put this out there on the Twitter as well, but we have our schedule coming live officially. I think right now on the Twitter. So just so you guys to keep up to date with what we've got going on, we'll be live Mondays. All right, we'll be doing live Monday at 10:30 a.m. for our Monday morning sit down show. We'll be live on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time for obviously State of the Jungle with me and the boys. And then we'll be live again on Friday at 10:30 a.m. for another sit down morning show with Malik Wright. And then, as you guys know, as I've brought and introduced to Bengals community, post-game recap shows. We'll be going live after every single Bengals game, breaking it all down, talking things through, and having you guys join the discussion, as well as you guys will see the occasional interview. You guys will see the occasional interview on this channel as well. I've sat down with, had the pleasure of sitting down with Orlando Brown, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and Jamar Chase. Had to decline some opportunities. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline as well. I might be doing one more guest before the season starts, but we'll see about that. Again, somebody asked the question, will Evan be doing Know Thy Enemy this year? And the answer to that is yes. Know Thy Enemy will be a thing where Evan will be giving you guys his takeaways on sort of how break down essentially what the Bengals' keys to victory is against their upcoming opponent. I'm pretty excited to watch that. I'm excited to see him in action. Again, we've missed you guys so much. We really have. But again, you can follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter if you don't already, and follow us on YouTube. We're just excited because this is going to be a big year for us. We're excited that you guys were as excited as we were to be back live in studio and in front of the camera with you guys. But Daniel, without further ado, the floor is yours, my man.
Awesome. And make sure you guys click the follow so you guys don't miss. And once again, drop down you guys' comments down below, whether you're on Twitter or on the YouTube. The first one, it was from a little while ago, but it was asking about the running back room. How do you guys see it shaking out? Obviously, Chase Brown is the quote-unquote running back one. But are you guys confident Samaje Perine, Taj Brooks? What's your guys' thoughts on how the room shakes out?
I'll just say this, and I know Logan's probably itching to go, but I think that right now Samaje Perine will be the backup. But I think that there is an opportunity there for Taj Brooks as the season progresses to take over that role. That's what I think.
The Perine thing has always been a little weird to me. even before Zach Moss was cut, I know that was probably all kind of assumed that was coming, but I don't know. He's still like P. Ryan. I like the idea of adding another veteran. I think I just more so like I hate just bringing back players. Like we let him go for a reason. We knew what he was. Like, we have Chase Brown. We have a guy. Yes, he's going to fill this pass blocking role. I appreciate that, but I just hope it's not anything more than that. Because I am excited about Taj Brooks. I do think he offers a lot of things, similar to P. Ryan, but just in a younger, more athletic version. And again, you can't just thrust a 6th-round rookie into the fire like that. So I think that's kind of why P. Ryan's here, to be the guy that can fill in a number of roles in the running back room and mentor it. But I think it'll be a lot of Chase Brown, which is all that matters. And then a little bit of P. Ryan early on. And as the season goes on, less and less P. Ryan, more and more Brooks.
I love Taj Brooks.
Yeah.
You guys know he was one of my favorite late round targets for the Bengals in our War Room episodes pre-draft. I was very excited that they got him. I think the only reason that he fell, that he wasn't a 3rd or 4th round pick, is because he wasn't like a superior athlete.
Yep, crazy.
Which he's a fine athlete. Yeah, sure, he doesn't have the home run speed, but you know what? His contact balance, fucking great.
Same.
His hands, great. His pass protection, great. His in between the tackles running, great. Like, he is just so fucking solid in every aspect. He just doesn't have the home run ability, and he has lots of experience playing in a legit conference. And he just has produced every year that he's been on the field. So I'm very, very happy after how the backup running back position has been kind of in flux since the whole Jeremy Hill, Gio Bernard, Joe Mixon kind of room was getting worked out. And then they had Joe Mixon and Gio Bernard. And then since then, it's really been, what is that backup? Yeah, you had Samaje P. Ryan for a year or two, and then he's moving on. And you've got, there's all these guys behind them that are looking good. And they're, Travion Williams is always hanging out there.
Yeah,
and
he was here forever.
Right. And so it's just like, this is the most excited I've been about a backup running back since Gio Bernard. I agree with Malik that I think, despite my excitement, despite my belief that Taj Brooks can do everything that you want Samaje P. Ryan to do, but better, I still think that he ends up being running back 3 on the depth chart because of their comfortability, familiarity with Samaje P. Ryan. I don't think it's right. I don't think it should be the way it goes, but I think Samaje ends up being running back 2.
Completely. And I'm the same way. People forget, I think you guys nailed it. This dude had 1,500 yards in back-to-back seasons. He is a tremendous running back. It just was, hey, is he athletic enough to do it at the NFL level? And I think if he gets the option and the ability to with the Bengals, he will show that. We had some questions. First off, our guy Michael Roth is asking a bigger picture question about the Bengals. What positional group is the biggest concern in the preseason, and how could it realistically be fixed by the regular season?
Guard, sign a vet at right guard. That's it for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's the obvious answer. Just to throw something out there, pretty similar answer, quick answer, sign Trey Hendrickson. Like there's not much. This team feels weird. Like they do have their glaring holes, guard and the defensive line potentially, but it's very simple on how to fix them. Luckily, will they do them? That's a different question. But I think those are the pretty 2 moves with who's available at every respectful position that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we're looking at another question, CJD22K, he said, who do you guys think gets signed first in the NFL between Micah Parsons or Cincinnati's Trey Hendrickson?
I think Trey.
That Micah thing is kind of.
I think Trey just because that Micah Parsons situation is at like the beginning of getting really ugly, and
yeah,
Jerry is to put it politely, Jerry's in the process of sundowning, and it's going to be really interesting watching the Cowboys kind of navigate that over the next couple years.
What did you just say?
Sundowning, he's.
I know what that means.
Yeah, no, someone put Jerry to bed. He's got a real nice, expensive house. I'm sure they got some nurses that can hang out with him and
just
listen to
all. Doors. Don't let him out.
Just lock him in a room with a radio, put a microphone in front of him, and tell him like he's on air with the radio, and he'll just talk for like 3 hours. You don't even have to say anything. You can just interject every once in a while and just be like, "Yeah, no, you're right, Jerry." Like, God, remember the 80s and then let him go for another 20, 30 minutes? Yeah, no, it'll be great. He'll never know. And then they can actually run the team.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jerry's just a gift that keeps on giving.
So that's hilarious. We got a question from Brittany Austin. Brittany said,
Brittany, appreciate you. She's one of our loyal
Shout out.
watchers. I know. I'm just laughing right now, Kate. You said it's a real thing. That's crazy. I know about sundown towns. I don't know about that.
No, not like that. That's different. No, that's not what I meant.
I didn't know where you were going now. You know?
No, like, hey, maybe you should like move to some retirement
No, I
community
get
in
that
Florida.
now.
Yeah,
I'm just when you said it at first, it just caught me off guard.
"Oh, that's
I see
hilarious."
a lot of shuffleboard in his future.
Oh my god.
Brittany said, "Do you guys think the Bengals are going to move on from Charlie Jones this season, or do they give him another go?"
Oof, man.
It's tough, man. The back end of that wide receiver room is going to be murder.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's clearly, I think, the wide receiver 6 at this point. I think Isaiah Williams is clearly ahead of him at this point. So it just comes to that. Like, I mean, there's a realistic chance maybe they like one of their UDFA guys better. Maybe he's a bigger body guy that can go in and supplement a team, in absolute worst case scenario. Or maybe there's a waiver claim guy that's an elite special teamer at the wide receiver position that they value a ton. There's just, if he's not gonna make an impact on special teams, which maybe that's still how they see him as a returner and stuff, then there's not much of a path for him. So it's very easy to see them moving on and at least finding another receiver that can see the field in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, my takeaway from that is it makes you realize how fast the NFL moves, because it feels like just yesterday it was like, oh, this dude has potential, and then he doesn't get reps with the season, and he doesn't get reps at all, and then now we're at a point where he could get cut, and he's like, this dude had potential. He was an amazing college receiver, and now it's like, is he even going to make the team? So we'll see. I agree that the receiver.
If Tom Brady was still playing, I would say he would be the prime receiver to go play with Tom Brady.
Charlie Jones, yep.
Mhm.
He would be I could see Tom Brady making him into a 1,200-yard receiver.
Danny Amendola type.
I didn't say it. You said it.
Hey,
Daniel's favorite player.
I love Danny Amendola, man. Danny Woodhead.
You're more of a Danny Woodhead guy.
Yes,
Danny
I love it. I'm
Dude,
a big
Danny
Woodhead.
Woodhead is a dog.
I
I will not
Danny
tolerate
Woodhead.
any Danny Woodhead slander.
He was a
around
good player,
here.
man. He was a good player.
I mean, you kind of look like
He's up there with like Cedric Pierman and
Yeah.
like Rex Burkhead, and like you leave my backups.
James White.
Yeah,
I
my
guess he was a
Shane
little-
Vereen types.
Shane
You leave my
Vereen.
guys alone.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of
That's
that.
a name.
We had a question from, I believe, Jay Snow. He said, "What happens if the Bengals lose the first couple of games this season? How do you think they react?" I guess.
If they lose the Browns and Jags,
You can't look at that point. You literally can't look anywhere but the coaching staff, right? Like there's literally been no constant. You've had all this different type of off seasons. You've had all these different players, all these different approaches. Like, well, what's left? Because it's only the front office or the coaching at that point, and we know the front office isn't going to change. So, fair or unfair, I think that gets pointed in one direction. Because again, you've got different players all over the place.
Yeah.
Like you got different position coaches all over the place. Like that's the tough part about it.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. It's maybe not fair, like we said, but that's
reality.
reality. That's the reality of where they are.
And I hate to even say it, and obviously every team in the NFL has a chance to win, but you're going up against a Browns team, respectfully, who's depleted of talent, doesn't even know who is the starting quarterback. And the Jaguars, you got a new head coach,
Jags could be fun.
they're not continuity on their team. So it's like, you've got to put out a good product, especially with the healthy Joe Burrow, healthy Trey Hendrickson, or healthy Jamar Chase and T. Higgins right now. But Matthew Heitzman said, "What's your guys' starting lineup for the defense?" I guess give some of your guys' starters in the different position, like defensive end. Who would you say would be the starter opposite of, let's say, Trey Hendrickson if he's there?
Jamar Stewart, pressure. I mean,
Well, that's the
it's
thing.
either
Is
Jamar- it's your-
is 1 month enough for him to get ready to the point where the coaching staff trusts him to be starting over Miles Murphy?
Well, I mean, if he's
I
this
think
truly
Miles
looks like a
starts.
difference maker, right? And he's been training this entire time. I get it. He's not been with the team, but apparently he's been training throughout this entire process. He looks. We need to see how he looks in preseason. See if it translates. And this is where I feel like preseason snaps could be beneficial, obviously, to the defense to see what happens. Also, Myles Murphy. I think Myles Murphy really could take that next leap. It's just I think Myles Murphy is going to look really polished. I think he can look better in the run game, polished in the run game. You want to make sure he's not making a lot of those mental errors out there. But who's the better pass rusher at this point? Because you could see a situation in which Myles Murphy is out there for the first and second down, and you put Shamar Stewart out there on third downs, and as the season progresses, maybe Shamar Stewart kind of takes over that role a little bit more. But you don't want to give up on a guy like Myles Murphy, because what happens, right? If Myles Murphy does really look good out there, and then Shamar Stewart really does look good out there, well, if you're the Bengals,
you have 2 Myles Murphys.
Which would be great.
Well, if you're the Bengals, do you get
Myles
dug
Garrett
into,
out there, man.
and this is a whole other conversation we could have, but if they both look great, do you dig in even deeper in your stance with Trey and like, hey, we got these 2 young dudes?
I think they tried that with the tackles
Yeah.
and their offensive line back in 2015.
Yeah.
And what have they been looking for the 10 years since?
I agree with you. I'm just
Bird in the hand is always worth 2 in the bush.
Yes.
And I would not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Again, why do you need to move on from Trey? Who are you paying? You got 2 more years of Myles Murphy. You don't.
I agree.
Right. Again, guarantee Trey this year, guarantee Trey next year. Cut him after if you don't like him. Or it turns out Myles Murphy and Shamar both have 2 good years on their resume. But what you can't do is do what you did with Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher and be like, well, yeah, but we don't need Andrew Whitworth and we don't need Zeitler. And like, we've seen these guys in practice in some preseason and they've looked okay. So it's their time.
In the comment section, I think you're overlooking Joseph Osai.
Again, there's a lot of guys in here. It's not to overlook Fig Newton. It's not to overlook Dax Hill or DJ Ivy or DJ Turner.
I
like,
really don't mean to sound like I'm overlooking him.
It's going to be a revolving door.
Well, I think we have to have a real conversation. The reason why Shamar Stewart was drafted is because they didn't see enough from the guys that they had.
He's the first round pick. That's why he's getting this attention.
And that's why he's getting the attention. But
Myles Murphy, first round pick.
Hear me out.
That's why
He was drafted this year because if you didn't see that production that you were hoping to see out of a Joseph Osai or out of a Myles Murphy, albeit whether it be to playing time, whether it be to injuries, whether it be to not being ready, whatever the case may be, you didn't see it, which opened up the door and the avenue for the Bengals to draft Shamar Stewart, which is why he's getting this opportunity. Simple as that.
I think for me, it's like, I don't want to make it sound like we're overlooking Joseph Osai necessarily, but we're talking about who's starting. Like, Joseph Osai is going to have a role in this football team, but it's not starting. He's not a good enough run defender. He's not a dominant pass rusher enough to overlook his limitations everywhere else. So it's like, yes, he's going to have a role. Yes, he's going to play snaps. So when you're talking about true starting defensive ends, there's more players that are built to handle more snaps than Joseph Osai. It's not that we don't think Joseph Osai is going to make an impact necessarily, because he did finish a year strong. He did, get to the quarterback really well down the stretch of the year for us. But that is his role. Like, his roles, I don't see his role growing all of a sudden. I think he's going to be a pass rusher for us on pass rushing downs. Maybe some creative loops and stunts here and there with his athleticism. But in terms of just starting, I don't think he's a guy that factors into that equation.
One quick thing before we continue the questions, Daniel. Just want to make note of something real quick. First State of the Jungle of the season between the YouTube channel and the Twitter. We are at over 1,000 viewers watching us live right now. So credit to the boys, credit to everybody watching us live. We really appreciate you guys spending your Wednesday evening with us. We look forward to being live with you guys each and every single week. Continue, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So Gary Jellison, a guy we appreciate you. He said, who's the Jung Meta this season for the Bengals as a guy that could come out of nowhere and just make the team, whether that's on defense, on offense? Is there a guy that's kind of sparked you guys' interest, in preseason that you guys can make the team?
I think it's gonna be one of those things we're gonna have to see them actually in preseason.
Yeah.
Probably the wide receiver room if I was betting.
Yeah.
You know who is Kendrick Pryor, our old friend
Kendrick Pryor. Mitchell Tinsley's had a couple different plays. Isaiah Williams, Charlie Jones, like you said earlier. So I mean, all 4 of those guys could be battling for one spot.
How about Desmond Ritter coming out of nowhere?
That was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. But I don't know. There are some other names. Eric Gregory or UDFA from Arkansas, the DT. I think that's just a spot that they clearly could use another body.
Right.
We signed Taven Bryan, obviously, but that's, I think it'd be a little more expected. Obviously, they just signed him. Eric Gregory, Howard Cross even, but he's got that connection with Al, but I think Eric Gregory is probably just a little bit better of a player. So I think when you look at who is in front of him and the importance of the position, I think Eric Gregory would be my early guess, I think.
For sure. We had a question from Michael Roth. This is for the two Alabama fans, Malik and Evan. What is you guys' projected stat line for Jermaine Burton as far as catches, yards, and touchdowns this year?
I was gonna say, you take this one. You're gonna be a little more fun than I am with my answer.
I don't know if I will be. I think I'll be this way.
Are you saying you're gonna out boring me? You're gonna out realistic me?
Can I be
fucking doubt it.
I'll put it this way. I think Andre Yoshivas is sadly mistaken if he believes that he is going away the wide receiver 3. I saw an interview where he basically essentially said, yeah, I think that when you factor in Jamar, T, and obviously myself,
Mike Gesicki is wide receiver 3.
wide receiver 3. Let's start there.
They figured that
I
out
think,
after having around week 8 when Jamar and T kept going out.
Yeah, if we're talking about strictly the wide receiver, I think there's going to be a place on the role on this roster. I think that the area that Jermaine Burton's gonna have a lot of success in is what sort of what the Bengals tried to carve out for him against the Chiefs game, right? Where they tried gadget guy. He's gonna be another guy that can extend defenders down the field and make you respect his speed.
Guy.
The guy truly has. Hear me out. The guy truly does have downfield playmaking ability. It's insane. It's absurd. I think he's better. He's a better downfield playmaker than Andre Yoshivas at this point of his career. I think Andre Yoshivas might be better in the red zone at this point of his career. Also, we haven't seen Jermaine Burton get those notable snaps. I just think that if we're talking strictly the receivers, I think that wide receiver 3 role between Jermaine and Yoshivas is a real battle that I'm watching. And I think that the Bengals tried last year to give him every opportunity to take that opportunity, those reins. He didn't, obviously, because he just wasn't mentally all the way there for whatever reason, whatever that case may be. But I do think that if he is the player that he seems like he's been, the coaching staff is raving about him, his fellow teammates are raving about him, I think that Jermaine Burton could really shock. There's a reason why Evan and I were both excited about him. If he gets those opportunities, I could see Jermaine Burton having about 300 yards receiving this year for the Bengals. If he gets those opportunities.
I think he ends up with 220, 250 and a touchdown. I think he comes in for the occasional 5-6 snaps a game to run the clear out routes, to connect on a deep route.
Can we be honest with ourselves? What is it now? 17 game season?
Yeah.
17 game season. Mm-hmm. T. Higgins has not played an entire season for the Bengals.
Well, here's
those
what I go back
opportunities are going to present themselves.
You got Jamar, who's obviously going to be a vortex for targets. You've got T. You've got Mike Gesicki. You've got Noah Fant. You've got Chase Brown. And now we're talking about you're battling between Yoshivas and Burton. Yeah. You're wide receiver 3 battling, but really you're offense option number 7 battling. Yeah. And that's where I come back to
for sure. I'm just saying though, if there is a game that T. Higgins has to miss, right? Mm-hmm. Because remember, there was a game last year where
then Yoshivas is going to be in there because he's the more prototypical X receiver, though.
He might be.
He is.
Evan, I'm agreeing with you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if Jermaine Burton proves himself this season, right? The Bengals tried to give him every opportunity to get those ample opportunities last year. I'm not debating the type of players they are and who fits more what T. Higgins is like. Right. I think that Jermaine Burton, talent-wise, clears Andre Yoshivas. And I think that if there is T. Higgins missing a game, yes, there are going to be packages where Yoshivas will be in there over Jermaine Burton just from a pure size standpoint.
Or red zone, like you said earlier. Yeah.
But I think that there is a real shot that Jermaine Burton is starting alongside Jamar Chase if T. Higgins were to miss a game or two. And it wouldn't shock me at all. I think he's going to get those opportunities this year. I'm excited. I think he's going to play a lot more than people expect him to. That's what I believe.
I completely think it's fair that if off season, all the same, off the field, all the same, then yes, Jermaine Burton would probably be a little bit ahead of Yoshivas because I do think he, like you said, is more of the natural route runner, more of the natural receiver, is better about using head fakes and body positioning and leverage with his routes. Also. He's better at tracking the ball deep, like you said, and just the more natural things about catching the ball and being a receiver. But Yoshivas is a very good red zone weapon. 100%. So that's
100%.
To Yoshi's credit, as much as he doesn't have the polish, he does that have that connection with Joe and that innate feel of the scramble drill, right? When things break down, when Joe is extending the play, he has a very good feel for the space and being on the same page for Joe. So I do want to give him credit there at least. But it'll be very interesting, like you said, to see what role that ends up being, how big that kind of wide receiver 3 role ends up actually being on this team this year, and then how that kind of
Translates,
how that translates into the snaps for the two of those guys.
And one last thing on that part, when we look at the Bengals too, I feel like you guys are talking about the depth. This is a much better spot than they've been in. I mean, last year when Burton was having these questions, the Ravens game when he came in, it was like, what the hell? Burton doesn't even know what he's doing. Now he gets another year. And the same thing, tight ends. Somebody gets hurt. Noah Fant's in there. Same thing, running back. Taj Brooks gets in there. You don't have to rely on a guy that you just traded for. So I think the Bengals are shaping up in good spot, at least at the skill positions. We got some more questions. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys like this video as well as subscribe to the channel for more, whether you're on Twitter or YouTube. Blame the 90s said, what up, boys? Shout out to you guys. We had a question from CJD 22K. He said, with Jermaine Pratt, Mike Hilton, Hubbard, and Bell all gone, who's your guys' guesses for captains on the Bengals defense this year?
That's a good one. It really is. I think Logan Wilson will probably be another one again. But then it gets interesting, truthfully.
BJ Hill.
BJ Hill probably gets the nod there too.
Yeah.
I'd assume, just being around. But then you got to have a secondary guy in there. You don't have to, obviously, but like you would assume so. And then it's like, I don't know. That's the fun part. Like, it depends. I mean,
Dax Hill, I guess.
I mean, if I don't know how true it is, and I don't know how serious these people take the captain. But if Josh Newton is really stepping up and being that vocal leader, that could be kind of something he's rewarded for if he's not going to be rewarded with
Holy
playing time.
fuck!
You know what I mean?
We're
Like,
talking about who is
like-
the second captain, and we can't even pick somebody not named Trey Hendrickson. Just fucking pay the guy. Dear God,
Yep.
like this is.
It should be Trey.
And I like
100%,
all
like,
of these guys. I'm just saying, like, you're sitting here trying to think of like, who's a guy who's good, who's also been around for a little bit, and it's just like, just fucking pay Trey so we can be done with this. Like, it's just, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Completely agree. No, you're right. JP said, Bengals were forced to punt in many critical situations last year. So how good is Dan Pitcher and Zach Taylor as play callers?
I mean, I think they're pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into it. The situational coaching has always been my biggest qualm with Zach, and even last year, I don't want to lump Dan into that yet. But again, they were very unaggressive for majority of the time, and then they picked the game to be aggressive against the Ravens.
Yeah,
and,
or they just went for everything.
it might have lost them the game. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like it seems almost predetermined coming into the game what they're going to do, and I think that's almost what separates the good. You have that feel in the game when you know, we need to go for it, we need to put them away, or hey, we really need this to come back and win. I think that's what Zach has always kind of lacked, and maybe it's coming along. Maybe he kind of noticed last year how the league's shifting and everything. So I'm excited to see how that is, because this team, when you rely so heavily on the offense, I feel like you should reflect that in your confidence in them always.
And I want to touch on that because I think when you look at the first like 4 years, right? And you compare all the play action, the motion numbers, the fourth down aggressiveness, the Jamar Chase and the slot usage, everything that people do to give their good players advantages are what I just named, right? And those rates largely stayed the same for all those 4 years. Then Dan Pitcher becomes the offensive coordinator, and suddenly there's pre-snap motion and all this interesting usage of 12 personnel with Eric All, right? There's Jamar Chase, career high usage in the slot. There's the play action and pre-snap motion rates higher than they've been in the last 4 years. And so people, I want to make sure that this is not to take away from Zach. This is to rightly attribute the credit to where I believe it's due. I think if you look at the first 4 years and say Zach didn't figure it out there, and then it just so happens that when Dan Pitcher got control of the offense and got to help create it, all of these things got better. I feel like I need to look at Dan Pitcher and be like, you are the reason that things got better, because that happened when you took over and helped out with Jake Browning after that Steelers game that was a debacle. And then suddenly the offense looks better. You were running better concepts. You were using the motion. You were using the boots and the rollouts. So like that always comes back to me where I want to give Dan Pitcher the credit for that design, for those elements. I do have maybe more faith in Dan Pitcher as the creator coordinator guy, and Zach Taylor more as the CEO guy who happened to coach on offense. That's really where I'm landing nowadays, is more of like, hey, Zach Taylor is the motivator. He's the locker room guy. He's the players coach. He's the CEO of the team.
Mm-hmm.
The scheme stuff maybe should be left to be dialed up with some of the scheme guys. Yes.
And Malik, you can obviously stop me whenever, because we got a couple more questions. So you let me know whenever. And this is my question, right? Obviously, the whole Netflix show came out about quarterback, and the thing that you guys touched on, that predetermined game, the Ravens, it's something that Joe Burrow even said. And for me, this kind of goes to my thought process. Is it more like, when we look at that one game, the failed 2-point conversion of, throwing it to Tanner Hudson, is that more of a Joe Burrow problem? Because I saw a lot of people blaming it on Burrow versus blaming it on Zach. Do you feel like those problems are more on Joe Burrow, or are they more on Zach Taylor as far as play calling?
I don't think it was necessarily a bad play. I just think that you question the personnel that was in at the time more so than anything. I think that was more so an interesting decision. And that was when we were screaming, saying Mike Gesicki needs more. Well, I was screaming and I was saying Mike Gesicki needs more touches in his off. Do you guys remember Mike Gesicki was not getting
do you remember? I mean, just remember how many times in the last couple of years you've had fourth downs where you have Alex Erickson running jet sweeps, but 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage on 4th and 1, or you're throwing screens 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Like that goes
back to the word you guys kept hearing us use several times last year. I don't want to put it on these guys, but I was using it a lot last year. Situational coaching, situational management, right? That goes into all of that, right? That means, hey, making sure you have the right personnel, knowing your personnel, asking yourself, hey, I know I like this guy, but is he the guy that should be in for such a critical play like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way in the world that I'm having, and in this game, and this I have to talk about, compare the two. There's no way I'm having Tanner Hudson and over Mike Gesicki in such a critical moment in the game.
Yeah,
and there's just no way I'm doing that.
And to kind of wrap it in, and with Daniel's question too, it's like, it's not a Joe Burrow fault. And I don't want to say it's just a play calling fault. Obviously Joe could have made a better throw. He even said it himself, but you're going to get better in those moments the more opportunities you have to work in those moments. When you're not giving your team ample opportunity to do that game in and game out, or they know it each and every time, the variance of those plays are going to skyrocket. Yeah. Maybe they're hammering them in practice. I have no idea, but I doubt it. You got to practice so many things. Maybe they are. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if you want to be better in that situation, you have to do more in that situation. You can't just immediately punt it every time you're in that situation.
I'll tell you the one thing that does excite me, though, this year, and we haven't really touched on it. And then we'll get to like 2 more questions.
Okay.
But the idea of having Jamar Chase out there, T. Higgins out there, Mike Gesicki, right? And then you have Noah Fant lined up in line as a tight end coming off the line of scrimmage, as a tight end that could really be a home run threat. If you are a defense and you decide, hey, we're going to play soft coverage, we're going to put all our attention on Jamar Chase, which makes a lot of sense. What does that then look like, right? Because we're talking about Noah Fant, who has genuine home run threat ability. He is dynamic when the ball is in his hand. So that's the kind of stuff that really, really excites me. And I know people were excited about Eric All. Obviously, he's not playing the season due to the injury, but even more so, obviously he's a better blocker than Noah Fant is, the whole 9 yards. But I just think from a receiving standpoint, I think the Bengals really lucked out with getting a guy like Noah Fant, and he could really experience a career resurgence year. Because I haven't really touched on that. I've advocated and campaigned for him so much coming to Cincinnati. Now that he's actually here, I'll just say that I think that Noah Fant is going to be very dynamic for this offense, and he's going to get a lot of those check down opportunities because people are going to be so focused on the Mike Gesicki. People are going to be so focused on the Jamar Chase and the T. Higgins down the field that you have to literally – and Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to literally watch out for every level of the Bengals offense this year now. You have to worry about the check down. You have to worry about over the middle. You have to worry about those deep threat shots from a Jamar Chase. And T. Higgins can always beat you on those 50-50 balls. It's really not a 50-50 ball when it comes to T. Higgins, but you know what I'm trying to say. It really is dangerous. And then we haven't even discussed Chase Brown out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. It really does create if you're a defense and you're a defense coordinator, you're campaigning in, you're game planning against the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you do? Like, genuinely, what do? You hope that you get home via pressure through the interior of your defensive line. That is what you hope for. Because if you're saying Joe Burrow drop back there, and we got to stop Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, or one of your 2 tight ends. Gesicki's really a receiver. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding out there. as a defensive coordinator. I really think a lot of defense coordinators are going to struggle dealing with the Bengals. I really do.
When healthy, too, I think this offense, like they're going to game plan for the Jamar, for T. Higgins. But as a defense coordinator, if you put yourself in their shoes, you're almost saying, hey, like the nuanced routes of, you know, a little sit down from the tight end, we're going to give them that. And that's what the Bengals are going to thrive on. That's just something that excites me because I think you look at that room, the tight end room, it's probably my favorite and the one I have no concern on outside of quarterback, obviously, because you got those two guys at the receiving tight end role. And then you got, obviously, Fant can play blocking as well. But you got Tanner Hudson if you really need him. And you got Drew Sample as a blocker. That's one of my favorite rooms the Bengals have. And I think their weapons room, I think you're pretty much.
Now, this is open. Sorry to cut you off, Dan.
Yeah.
Does it open up more opportunity for Jamar Chase?
Totally. I mean, I think for everybody, I think.
He's coming off a triple crown receiving.
It's kind of hard to open up more room for him.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Right.
it's, yeah, you
Could make his life a little easier.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like in all honesty,
It
like
should.
it does. Can he do triple crown again? Well, I mean, could he in this offense?
I
still?
think honestly, the thing I would be banking on, obviously, I think he could do that, but I would just bank on Burrow's numbers going up instead. Like, I think.
Remember last year we did that? Actually, we talked about it. We said, and we'll wait until right before the season to kind of give our official predictions. But I said I thought Joe Burrow would throw around 40 touchdowns. I think Joe Burrow's going to lead the NFL in touchdown passes this year again. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to do it again. I really believe so. I think that with this, if he's able to stay healthy, this offense is able to click, I think he's going to do it. I really think Noah Fant made the right decision, man. I really think he's going to eat in this Bengals offense for sure. For sure.
Did he have any other?
He went to Miami.
This is a much better option than New Orleans, I guess. Well, they got Juwan Johnson. They got terrible quarterbacks.
Quarterback.
Yeah, so it's probably the right move.
Man, didn't pick the Saints or Miami where tight ends go to die.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah, no thanks.
What a guy. Made a right decision.
Completely.
I was talking to his agent today. That was funny. But no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, man, for this Bengals receiving room. Dan, let's get to one more question.
Yeah, the last question was about the safeties. Matthew Heitzman, he said, could Jordan Battle be our green dot guy? / do you guys think Geno Stone plays better this season? What's your guys' thoughts on the safety room?
Don't think Jordan Battle wears a green dot. Do think Geno Stone plays better.
Yes.
It's
yes and yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he ended. I know he kind of the Bengals defense as a whole
Let's get one more.
get some slack because of who they played against down the stretch, but they still played well. Geno Stone still played well,
Mhm.
and I like Jordan Battle. I think he's gonna have a great year, but you don't put your green dot on your safety just because that comes out way more than anything.
I think overthinking too was the thing that sort of hurt Geno Stone last year too. You know,
trying to make an
when
impression.
when he knows the defense, he seems to be more comfortable, and then when things are a little bit more simplistic, he seemed to be making a lot of plays out there. And I think that says a lot that Geno Stone was given because the Bengals had chances to draft the safety, right? They had chances to draft a safety that we all loved or liked. That Al Golden was familiar with, and they didn't do that. So like it's one of those things where I feel like this is a nod to Geno Stone that they think that they can get it right with him. So we'll see if he's able to really turn this thing around and have a good season, bounce back year.
And I thought that was very pivotal too. I mean, we'll discuss in another show, but I thought that was interesting how he took the linebacker over going with his guy. I thought that was interesting, Xavier Watts. But CJD 22K for the final question. He says, who gets angrier, Malik about the guards or Evan about the Trey Hendrickson conversation?
I'm at a point now where I don't even get angry anymore about it. I'm more so just listen. If you keep getting slapped, keep slapping me in my face over and over again, I can't then ask you, why is my face hurting? Right? It's one of those things for the Bengals. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And this is what it's been. We've been saying the guard position needs to get fixed for years. We've been saying they need to attack the offense, the interior of the offensive line for years and actually protect Joe Burrow. And, for whatever reason, it just has not been a focal point. So I don't know. You got offensive linemen who have been proven to be, at the very least, what they're able to do at a high level in the National Football League is be a very good pass protector. You have him making TikToks begging to come to Cincinnati, and you don't even make a phone call. I don't even know what to say at this point. Do at this point. You clearly are around these guys longer than me. You understand the guys you have in the building, and you have coaches who are a lot smarter than me. So I won't argue with you. You believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. But I think at some point or another, if you keep getting the same result, something needs to change, and that's just my thought process.
Yeah.
I agree. That's
Yep.
pretty much it.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining in for another episode of the State of the Jungle with Malik Wright and the boys, presented by the Right Way Sports, Network. And I agree, Matthew Heitzman. He says, dude, Risner needs to be a Bengal. Listen, I banged the drum for Mike Gesicki, for Noah Fant, and you guys know how I feel about Dalton Risner. I think he could be a reclamation project for the Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll see if they ever decide to make that phone call. I just doubt they will at this point. I want to just thank all of y'all for tuning in, because we had, if the numbers serve me correctly, all things totaled between the Twitter and the YouTube, we had over close to 1,100 people watching us live right now. And we want to thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, making us a part of your Wednesday. And remember, we'll be back live next Wednesday for another episode of State of the Jungle, detailing and recapping all things Cincinnati Bengals. I'll be live after the Bengals preseason game tomorrow. Talk this thing through with you guys. I didn't know if I made this announcement already, but we are having a Madden tournament in Cincinnati on Saturday at 12 p.m. at Esports Velocity. We have 2 more slots to fill. The final 4 people, 16 people signing up. There will be food, there will be beverages. The final 4 people of this Madden tournament will be receiving copies of Madden 26 for absolutely free. The first place winner will be receiving a $500 cash prize along with a free copy of the game. This is something that me and my company are going to be bringing to the city of Cincinnati, and is our inaugural one. Remember, anything that we do will truly be for the people. So we greatly appreciate you guys for tuning in, making us a part of your Wednesday routine. We will see you guys as a crew next time on State of the Jungle. And until next time,